This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon only gameplays, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Ephara God of the Polis versus Circu Dimir Lobotomist. Well, we'll have no trouble with mana in that hand, will we? Let's definitely keep that. In fact, we're going to run out our hand in no time. Yeah, we'll certainly have a grip full of lands if this land tax goes off. We are on the play, so we're not likely to have more lands than our opponent, but if they get up to a fourth land and we only make 3, then it will certainly come in handy then. And speaking of mana, there is a crypt into a signet from our opponent, and now they're going in for Mind Stone, so they've only got 4 cards left in hand. And we get a duplicate, so in a few turns' time that should be able to deal with our opponent's commander. Let's throw out our Arcane Signet, and we should, failing everything else, we should be able to go in for Prairie Stream into Thought Vessel next turn. If we get into an untapped land, I may go in for Ephara. And now our opponent's on 6 mana by turn 2. And that is Circu Dimir Lobotomist. And they go straight in for a Shadowborn Apostle. There's been a surplus of Shadowborn Apostle players in recent memory. Yeah, so I think we go Thought Vessel in that case, seeing as how we just drew into the Preordain. Then we'll go 4 Preordain, scry 2 and draw. And that's 2 lands. Why don't we just take 1? We'll take the plains and forego the island. And then with a chance of drawing into something else next turn. And we can go for duplicate next turn if we want to, if we're worried about the Circu. Oh, that has Ephemerate underneath it. And there is another Shadowborn Apostle from our opponent. And a Clue Stone now as well, so we've only got 1 card left in hand, but they are not struggling on mana at least. They've got Makokoro as well. Everyone draws a card, and we get into Aven Mind Sensor, which just so happens to be really good against a Shadowborn Apostle deck. Now swinging in at us with everything. They've taken a Chromatic Lantern from us as well. So in that case, let's go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is 6. Let's go for Gilded Lotus. And then we can go in for Ephara, and then we've got lots of mana to make use of next turn as well. Probably going in for Aven Mind Sensor before these Shadowborn Apostles do any damage. Well, there's another one. I don't know how many Shadowborn Apostles you run in an Apostle deck, but our opponent hasn't had any bother in getting into them multiple times in a row. Doesn't look like they've drawn into another one. They have drawn us into a land though. And now going to deal 4 points of damage to us. And another land. Okay, so do we go for duplicate? We could just duplicate and go after a Shadowborn Apostle just to put them further away. They need 6 of those. Yeah, let's go for that. And then we can hold up Aven Mind Sensor as well. So our duplicate becomes a 1-1. Hopefully we can flicker that at some point. We will draw a card with Ephara next turn. And then we'll draw one during our turn when the Aven Mind Sensor comes out. Okay, they're deciding to sacrifice the Clue token to draw themselves a card and the Mind Stone. So they go up to 4 cards in hand. There's that Ephara trigger from the duplicate. Another land for us. And I think I would actually, yeah, if we go for Aven Mind Sensor in response to attacks, assuming that they attack in with everything, I think I will actually go Aven Mind Sensor, block one of these to put them even further away. And then go in for Sun Titan, grabbing back the Aven Mind Sensor. Now it's Una, Queen of the Fae. Can they mill themselves with that? Oh, it's exile anyway. Target opponent exiles X cards. And for each card of the chosen colour, they get a Fairy Rogue. I haven't been keeping track of what Circu has been exiling from us. They've gotten our Venser, Momentary Blink, Knight of the White Orchid, the Lantern and the Ephemerate we already knew about. A lot of people panic over mill, and mass mill can be pretty annoying because it gets rid of a lot of your good stuff, but just peppering away at our top cards of the library doesn't really bother me all that much. Now they're going for an exile with Una as well. Let's see if they get a fairy. They do. They obviously went for white and got into a disenchant, so that's exiled now. And we'll see if they attack in with the Apostles. They are doing. So let's go Aven Mind Sensor. And now we can block one of those just to put us further away from worrying about the Apostles. And that also draws us a card with Ephara. Oh, and Lantax is triggering now as well, that's good. Not that we are running low on lands. And of course we draw into a land. Tends to be the case when you get 3 lands off of Lantax. We'll see what happens at the draw step. 2 plains and an island. And then we draw, oh there we go, into Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Can we do everything there? We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we'll have to hold on to that, I think. So let's play out the Windswept Heath and the Sun Titan this turn. Sun Titan comes out and it brings back the Aven Mind Sensor, which is why I threw it away previously. Take our opponent down on a card. We are going to draw again with Ephara during our opponent's turn. Just have to hope for something other than lands, really. Some kind of flicker effect would be nice. And there you go. Cloud Shift, that's a flicker effect. So let's see what our opponent does first. We didn't draw into that soon enough, so our opponent will be able to respond with Una. Yeah, they don't have to do that at sorcery speed, so yeah, I don't really care if they mill us in response, to be honest. Let's just allow them to do whatever they want. I'd rather not take a hit for 5 from it. Okay, there's their own Chromatic Lantern. So if they decide to swing in at us, I will exile it by flickering the duplicate. Alright, there we go. They're going to mill us. We'll see how many fairies they get this time. They get none. They just pull a bunch of lands off the top, so actually doing us a huge favour there, although we were going to shuffle anyway. And not swinging into the Aven Mind Sensor. Yeah, I mean, they could have forced us to attack with Sun Titan to bring this back there, and maybe they would like to do that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's, first of all, grab ourselves a tap land with Windswept Heath. Then we go for Cloud Shift onto Duplicate, and we'll get rid of that Una. Just because I'm worried about the Fairy Rogues. If we're going to play an Elspeth, it's also a big 5/5 flyer in the air. And it makes the duplicate bigger than a 1/1. So it's actually a better blocker itself. And this is going to have Ephara trigger on our upkeep. And we get into another land, wouldn't you know? So let's just get out the Glacial Fortress. And we'll go in for our Planeswalker. This will get us out some creatures. So we'll draw yet again with Ephara. Also animates Ephara, which I wasn't thinking about. And we can ramp a little bit here as well by getting our fetch out with the Sun Titan. So let's swing in with... They can't block the duplicate very well, so let's just go in with as much stuff as we can. And we've got Swords to Plowshares in hand anyway if we're worried about stuff. Get back the Windswept Heath, that's mono white ramp for you. Blocking with the Shadowborn Apostle, I was worried about those at first, but clearly our opponent hasn't had the best of luck with them this game. So just going down to 16. And we'll see how much of a top deck position our opponent's in. There is even more card draw for us, so we're starting to get into some good draws here. Okay, Cauldron of Eternity. I haven't seen anyone use this yet. It costs 2 less for each creature in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, and then 3 tap and 2 life. Return a target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, but only as a sorcery. So they don't have the mana held up for that currently. We might be able to get into an answer. Now another Shadowborn Apostle. And deciding to swing in at Elspeth with the Fairy Rogue. I think we're okay to block with the Aven Mind Sensor here. Yeah, I don't really care about getting back the Windswept Heath with the Sun Titan. Will this take us off Devotion though? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Oh, 7 there. Yeah, so we'll still have Devotion. And we can play Muldrifter anyway. I do want to be swinging in with Ephara. And that token goes back on the bottom of our opponent's library, which obviously doesn't actually happen with the tokens. It does hit the bottom of our opponent's library, but then it evaporates straight away. Certainly doesn't stay in there and get shuffled around, ready for you to draw into. Yet another land for us. Let's just tick up with Elspeth. We will go for Muldrifter for the full cost. This will draw us 2 cards, and it will trigger Ephara on the next upkeep. We've got a Snap Mage now as well, going to an island. And I think we go Snap Mage into Cloud Shift. So let's swing in with a bunch of stuff. Sun Titan can grab back the Aven Mind Sensor, so our opponent can't shoot their way out of this predicament they're in. They block our commander with their own, and the Shadowborn Apostle with the duplicant. They are playing it out, so good for them. We've got 1 card in hand currently. And that Shadowborn Apostle goes back on the bottom of their library. And we don't have to discard because of the Thought Vessel. Our commander draws us into Torrential Gearhulk, so I think we're in a really good spot now. Our opponent needs a board wipe. They did the right thing in playing it out, clearly. They didn't get into it. We were just going to go for Snap Mage onto the Cloud Shift, which goes onto Muldrifter to draw us a couple more cards. And we get into Phyrexian Metamorph, so we could have put that onto the Muldrifter as well to draw a couple more. And yeah, drew a lot of lands that game, but we also drew into just the things we needed at just the right times. Elspeth going off for us there, and the Muldrifter getting us into more cards, and is a really good flicker target. If our opponent had a better board state, we could have flickered the duplicant as well, so I think we were set up quite nicely there. Maybe our opponent even had tutors in their hand and they couldn't use it thanks to the Aven Mind Sensor. Anyway, pretty convincing win for us there, so hopefully you all enjoyed that one. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to help me out and support the channel and push it through to more viewers. YouTube does take notice of those things, so that's why YouTubers always ask you to do these things. Anyway, like I said, hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.